Okay. I received I guess you could say I was gonna do another book review, but I had a couple people, and I just got off the phone to a friend of mine as well, and it kind of made me realize how much this topic is overlooked. And the topic I'm talking about is autism in children. And I noticed that a few people will sit back and go, oh, it's a result of bad parenting, it's a result of this, it's a result of that. The person I was just talking to on the phone, when she was at the shops with her son, he couldn't understand that they had to wait 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, until they could get through the checkout. And he started getting, obviously very, I wouldn't say disruptive, but he started getting frustrated because he couldn't work out the concept of the time frame to go, okay, from here to here. And something that I guess frustrates me quite a lot is it's not a result of bad parenting, which is what a lot of people don't understand. I am the mother of an autistic child, and I can assure you, anybody who walks into my house sits there and goes, oh, you've got great parenting strategies, you've got this, you've got that. But it's what works for your child. And it's like any child. And this is what a lot of people don't understand, is just because you would do something differently doesn't mean it works for that child, because their thought process, their patterns of thinking, their whether they've got hypersensitivity to noises, textures. I know, like, this is just speaking from experience, I'm trying not to go into too much detail. But the thing is that a lot of people think it's okay to judge another person because of the way their children behave. Don't get me wrong, you can tell the difference, and I think everyone can. You can tell the difference between a spoilt little brat that's walking through the shopping center that's sitting there complaining that they're 8 years old and they don't have an iPhone 5, and all of a sudden it's like, I want a new Xbox and I want this. And when we were that age, we had this thing called outside, which is a lot of what some kids these days don't even know about. There's this beautiful thing called the backyard with trees, and it's called like sunlight, and it's called a bike. You get to ride your bike, you get to go and play with the animals, you get to go and so many kids, you can tell the difference. You really can. Now, I guess you could say this is a bit of a rant. This is like a rant video, but people need to stop being so judgmental. And you can blame autism for quite a few things, but you cannot blame a child for being overstimulated to the point where they've got hypersensitivity. You cannot blame a child for the way that they react, because they cannot. An autistic child has trouble relaying emotions and why they feel the way that they do. You've got so many children that, if you've got your average 5-year-old, okay, an average 5-year-old, you can tell. Would you like to have, I don't know, how about we have potato bake tonight, which is your cream potatoes that you put in the oven. I don't know where you're watching from or who's actually watching this, so I'm trying to find a medium here. You could give that to a 5-year-old and they're going to go, ew, I don't like that. But they'll eat it and then they'll go, oh, okay, that's not too bad. I don't mind it, but I don't really like it. An autistic child, depending on because the autistic spectrum is this collective. It's not just your kid's autistic, they're special, deal with it. It is the autistic spectrum covers so much, and if people actually understood it, they would understand. My son has trouble with different textures, okay? If I was to give him potato bake, which is your cream potatoes with the cheese on top, he'd eat the cheese. He wouldn't eat the potatoes because to him they're not potatoes. If I was to mash them and put something else in them, he relates, okay, they're potatoes, but they're different. He may try them, but he won't sit back and go, I really like these potatoes because they're yum. It's more, they don't look like potatoes, even though they're mashed and they've got bacon and cheese and stuff in them. No, they're not really potatoes. Kids of the autistic spectrum see things differently. Behavioral wise, their temperaments are obviously different depending on the severity of what their diagnosis is. So the fact that somebody just told, this is the reason for the rant as well. As I said, I got off the phone to a friend of mine, and she had somebody say to her, you need to control your child. He is heavily, and when I say heavily, I mean he is autistic to the point where there is nothing physically defected on his body. There is no physical defect. But the behavioral temperament is, he closes in on himself. He cannot look someone else in the eye. He is the type of child who just closes in on themselves. And for him to go shopping is a really big deal. It is so overstimulating to the point where there is going to get to a tolerance level. Like most 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 10-year-olds are like, I've had enough. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go home. And the parents are like, 10 more minutes, 5 minutes. I just want to go home. Autistic kids are not like that. Autistic kids cannot relay the emotions they're feeling. So it's like, I'm starting to panic and I don't know why, and it's okay, I'm just going to sit here and just rock back and forth. And then they start, and it's up to the parents or the caregivers to be able to read the physical signs of what the child is feeling. Because when you have an autistic child, they cannot relay emotion the way most children can. So if they start to get overstimulated to the point where people are yelling, people are talking at them, they're trying to address them, they start going, okay, and they pull away in a way that you kind of, you're not seeing them, you see them as shy, or you see them as what a typical child would do when they're, oh, there's a stranger talking, mummy. It's not that. It's they can't pull closer to their carer. They pull in on themselves. So the moment that you see them start doing this whole, that real, oh my gosh, you know yourself when you feel shy, okay, you withdraw. When you feel threatened, you think, okay, I'm going to fire up. When you have somebody in your face, you're thinking, I've got to defend myself here. That thought process does not go through an autistic child's mind in the slightest. So when you sit there in judgment of somebody for the way that their child is behaving, Have you ever sat back and thought to yourself, hold on a second, am I really looking at this situation as a child throwing a tantrum, or a child doing this, or a child being a kid? Or am I looking at it going, I kind of feel sorry for the parent right now? If you sat there, I had a lady one day in her great wisdom, older lady as well. And when I say older, I mean she was 60s, probably about the 60s, roughly. We'll just put that for the terms of what I'm about to tell you. My son didn't start talking till he was 4. So the way that I could gauge what he wanted was to ask him, like, I don't know, I've got a drink here, so reasonable empty drink bottle that I've not long finished drinking. If I'd go like this, he would stomp his feet, put his hands up beside his head, and he'd squeal. He'd be like, no! Like, he couldn't say no, couldn't say yes, he didn't know. So it was like, okay, process of elimination. Pick something else up. Would you like this? He'd squeal. This woman interpreted this as him being a spoiled brat. I've got to calm down a little bit, I think. But, okay, she interpreted this as his way of bossing me around. Now, for starters, this woman does not know my child. Second of all, I do not know this woman from a bar of soap. And third of all, she has the audacity to say to me, oh, my kids would never behave like that in public because they know they'd get smacked. Woman, you don't know the first thing about my kid. And this is what a lot of people need to start having a little think about before they pass judgment or make comments. I saw, in that moment, I thought to myself, right, I'm a bit mad at this. You're not even observing what was going on and what I was doing. You just passed judgment at the fact that I handed my son an orange juice and he threw a tantrum. So I put it back, so I got I think it was pineapple juice and he threw a tantrum. So no, it was, would you like this? Like the orange juice. He didn't want orange juice, so I put it back. I picked up the pineapple juice. They're like little pop-top things. And gave him the pineapple juice. He didn't want the pineapple juice, so I put it back. I gave him the apple juice. All of a sudden, it was not, he wasn't having a screaming fit trying to boss me around. He just didn't want that to drink. Now, for people who think it's okay to just hand a child something or give their 2 cents worth, how about assessing the situation? There was a lady at the checkout. She had 3 children with her, okay, and is shopping. The best of times is hard with 1 kid, let alone 3. So she's got the baby in the trolley or the cart, wherever you're watching from. There's a seat, and you push the top out, and there's a seat that the kids can stick their legs through. She had 1 in there. She had 2 at the sides of the trolleys. These kids were, really just. I mean, I sit there and say my son's full on. These 2 kids were just. They were like a pit bull at a rag doll. It was just. And she's sitting there. She had her head in her hands. Okay. Now, These kids were, I want. I'm fighting with him now because it was just, they were arguing over stuff that was just no point in arguing over. It wasn't going to change anything. But these kids were just, mum, argue, mum, argue. This woman stood there, and I sat there and I just looked at her, and I don't know whether it's because of the different perspective, because of the difficulties my son has, or whether it was because I just approach a situation differently. And she's just stood up from the trolley, because she was leaning over the trolley or the cart, where, like, just like this, and she stood up, and I swear without a word of a lie, she frightened the crap out of me, because she stood there and she yelled, and I mean yelled, and it was that, cut your crap, I am sick, like, just this, it was, she'd had enough. Now, I stood there after these kids were just had pretty much gone, okay, what do we do now? And I stood there and I said to her, would you like a hand? Because at this stage my son was at school, so he wasn't with me, and I was out shopping, so I was having my mummy time. And I said to her, would you like a hand with anything? And all of a sudden, she was crying. She's just crying to the point where she's going, they won't listen to me, they won't do this, they won't do that, the blah, 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 the da, 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 da. And I'm thinking, okay, like, I just meant, do you want me to start putting stuff up on the belt for you while you go around the other? Okay. And some people approach things regardless, like, I know I said about this, it was a rant for the autism, but people are so quick to judge. They are so quick. They heard her yell, and within 5 seconds it was like, oh my goodness, she's yelling at her kids. I can't get to it. Really? You've seen these kids running around a trolley, arguing, carrying, bickering, just carrying on a bickering the entire time, running around her. Okay, she's got a baby that's crying in the trolley. All she wants to do is get her shopping and get out. She wants to go home, just like everybody else. But no, because she yelled, all of a sudden that makes her the worst person in the world. Nobody seems to care, right? Nobody seems to care what people are feeling. And this is what frustrates me. It gets me to a point where I sit there and feel like slapping everyone, because they sit there and they go, I don't judge people. I don't judge people. I don't do this. I don't. You know, for someone who is not judgmental, you are the most judgmental people I know. Because you are the ones that sit back and you judge everyone. And it's all these 15 and 16-year-old kids. Okay. This is a completely different topic. This is probably going to get me slammed something cruel, and I'm probably going to get a billion comments. But it's these young kids that have no life experience, and I'm being serious when I say this, that fall pregnant at 18, 19 years old, okay, or 17 or 16 or 15 or 14, like, it just, kids, right? Kids. I class some people that are like 24 as kids. They've got no freaking life. They don't have any life experience behind them, but hey, they're the best parent under the sun. I had one person tell me, oh, I would never treat my children that way. I would never do this. I would never do that. Blah, blah, blah. You're too hard on your son. You're too... Like, my son needs routine, okay? That's for the start point of the autism side of things. He needs routine. He needs that schedule. He needs to know what he is doing, where he is going, at what specific time. He needs to know when he's eating, what he's allowed to eat and what he's not allowed to eat. He needs to go through... If you want me to keep going through this list of what actually needs to be done in my household to make sure that my son is calm, I can keep going. But it's you teeny boppers that sit there and say to, like, have the audacity to say to a parent, let alone one that has a child with special needs, my child's never going to turn out like that, blah, 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 blah. Really? How do you know that? Your kid is in the womb. It's all of a sudden, oh, my baby is the most beautiful baby, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yep, your child is what, 8, 9 months old? Sweet. Oh, look at her, she's so beautiful, she can say her name, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so she's 11 months old, 12 months old, nice. 2 years old, oh, my child doesn't, oh, no, sorry, 18 months old, I should say. My child doesn't backchat, my child doesn't do this, she's so well behaved, this, that, and everything else, blah, 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 this, that, oh, look at that, she's so cute, she doesn't throw tantrums, she doesn't do this, she doesn't... 2 years old. Boy, do they eat their words. Do you know every person prays for that day? Because the moment it happens, do you know what we're doing inside? Hell yeah. Now what? That's what we wait for. All those years that you told us we didn't know how to raise our kids, we didn't know how to do this, we didn't know how to do that. You judged us for the fact of our kids' behavior. You judged us for the way that our children reacted to different environments. You were the ones that sat back in judgment of everything. And then the moment you have your own kids, they start throwing tantrums, they start carrying on. Why can't we sit there and say to you, clearly you don't know how to be a parent, because let's face it, your kid throws tantrums, your kid does this, your kid does that. It's a defiant stage. It is amplified when you have children with autism, or it completely just is not there. So when they do have these certain behaviors of throwing tantrums, or they seem ignorant, or they seem disrespectful because they can't talk to strangers, they can't do this, you've got two completely different sides of the spectrum. You've got kids, you have children that will walk up to any random stranger. Do you know how fearful that is as a parent? Your children will walk up to any stranger and they don't understand the concept that this person can hurt them. That is pure fear of a parent. So forgive me for sitting there and going, oh my God, I don't want to take my child to the shops. I don't want to take my child to this. I need a freaking leash for my kid. Because I sit back and I go, you have no idea what panic and what fear goes through a mother's mind with a child that just goes and starts talking to a stranger, let alone one that has that, I guess you could say, non-awareness that this person can hurt them. Okay, so you sit in judgment of everything. You sit in judgment of people that you don't even know. Okay, there's a difference between labeling, there's a difference between, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some people that you just look at and you think, what the hell are you wearing, or what are you this, or what are you that? You dare judge a parent for standing back and not even knowing who they are, what their lifestyle is like? You judge children for their behavior in public, yet you don't know what their home life is like? I know kids that used to live with me, like 16 years old, right? Abusive home life. Okay? They didn't want to be at home. They didn't want to be there, but you see those kids on the street, right? You see those kids on the street and you sit there and you go, where are their parents? They need the parents. I'm sorry, their parents are like busy bashing the crap out of the brother and sister, like, but hey, you make sure you send that kid home. Like, it just, everybody is quick to judge. You see the girls that dress very provocatively is like an understatement. I swear they should just start selling like really, well, yet again, they already have fancy lingerie, so why not? But they should just start selling like denim bras and denim panties, because that's what most girls wear. They don't sit there and go, okay, why is this girl wearing this? They just judge her and go, oh my god, she's a 15-year-old girl, look at that, she's got to be promiscuous. Possibly not. Have you ever opened your eyes and looked at society in general and gone, how freaking judgmental is everyone? There is a line, don't get me wrong. If you can't bend over and pick something up you dropped without flashing your clacker at somebody, like, you don't wear it. That's just all there is to it. You don't wear it. If you've got to get somebody else to lean down and pick up your belongings, and then they can't even look up at you without getting a full view of what is not supposed to be seen by anyone other than your partner, then you've got an issue. People need to stop judging in the sense of trying to make somebody feel bad for something they can't control. And this is, you might have had the fantastic home life, you might have had the both parents who worked, you might have had the money to do this, you might have had this and that. You could list a million things of what you got as a child, what you were raised like, what your parents raised you like. You don't know the backstory to Joe Blow walking down the street with his kid that's throwing the biggest tantrum ever, and all of a sudden he just smacks him on the bum. That's a parent disciplining their child. They've got to learn. Don't. Just smack. Okay? Everyone is so quick to just judge this entire children in general. Okay? It's bad parenting, it's this, it's that, it's blah blah blah, it's this, that, and the other thing. But hold on a second. Okay? Hold on a second. Did anyone see the news story about the parents that were holding their child's hand and they got charged for abuse because they were holding their kid's hand too hard? Have you heard about the fact that parents are not allowed to smack their children anymore? Hold on a second. You've got a planet full of rebellious teenagers whom their attire is not suitable for their age, but yet it is accessible, and the parents aren't allowed to say anything because apparently that is damaging their self-esteem. It's not the fact that you want your child to look respectable when they go out in public. It's not the fact that you want your child to at least have some sort of self-worth to themselves. But no, children these days are getting vicious, they are getting violent, they are getting everything else, and yet you hang it on a parent of an autistic child for trying to help their child get further in life, but yet you sit in judgment and go, that's bad parenting. But yet you've got some 14-year-old white kid that is blatantly racist and disrespectful, use words that are derogatory to other ethnicity, anything of the sort, and then you wonder why, okay, you wonder why your kid's the one that gets beaten up in the middle of a shopping center, and all of a sudden you sit there and go, I didn't raise her that way. Well, clearly you didn't damn well raise her at all. I'm sorry, but it's true. Because the government is taking away the rights of parents to discipline their children. They are looking at everything as a clue. And then you're telling me that it's okay for some 14-year-old bratty thing to sit there and disrespect a woman who is wearing traditional dress, mind you, okay, and you think it's okay? Like, it just, bear with me a second, alright? There's not much difference between any race or ethnicity in Australia. We don't care. You could be white, black, Greek, Italian, I don't know, like, you can be anything. You could be pink. You could be the purple people eater. Okay? You can be the purple people eater. We've got a mutual respect in Australia that you pretty much, we are multicultural. We are multicultural to the point where you're Australian. Okay? It doesn't matter if you wear a burqa or headdress or the, I can't remember them now. I had it on the tip of my tongue, and I can't, like the actual traditional dress, the cloak, sort of like the cloak robes, the the pants. That I've got a friend of mine who's Turkish, and he wears like the traditional. I think it's amazing. I love it. It's just like, it's so individual. It's so great. It's fantastic. But then you've got some kid that thinks that because their parents don't agree with it, that it's okay to stand there and disrespect every person that's walking past. There is not one street you can walk down in Australia without seeing someone who's black, without seeing someone who's Greek, without seeing somebody who's Muslim, without seeing somebody who's Italian. Like, you've got such a diverse culture here, and yet nobody sits back and goes, hey, wait a second, don't speak to somebody like that. Don't dare sit there and disrespect that, but you don't even know that person. Oh, well, I can say that because I'm allowed. It's my right. I'm Australian. What a crock of crap. You're an Australian. You accept everyone. That's your little vicinity thing. Nobody cares about those kids. Right? Everyone sits there and goes, That's just bad parent. That's a result of bad parenting. I would never let my kids get to that. But damn straight, if my son in any way, shape, or form was to say something like that, I would probably clip him across the back of the head. And I would do it in front of that person, and I would sit there and I would make him apologize. I don't care what you say about my parenting, but all I know is the fact is my son, and I will say this as well, and I will also say this for my friend's son, okay, our children, they don't judge you. They don't care that you have either a different skin color, a different way of dressing. They don't care. My son walked up to a person in a wheelchair who had no legs, okay, and he was talking to him. Alright, he sat there, he asked questions out of curiosity like every child would, but he wasn't disrespectful. He just was there. He was talking. Now, you will sit there, like people who have survived things, okay? And I know kids that I've seen children do this, okay? Children in general, like even people my age, I've seen them do it. They see somebody who has some part of their body, they're either amputated or they walk differently. They're because they've suffered a stroke. They've had acid poured on them. They've got something that's a physical reminder that they've survived. And then people have the audacity, children have the audacity to point and laugh or say something that is just so disrespectful to that person. This society judges so quickly. It's like you have no idea that that person's escaped a house fire, that they're, I don't know, somebody they knew lit. And they've got the scars for the rest of their life knowing that that person tried to kill them. You've got people who have survived car crashes that have either got part of their arm missing, their legs, like their fingers, or they've got a permanent dislocation that even though they can walk, they can't walk the same. But yet you're so quick to judge. You just don't care. You don't see people for who they are. You don't see who is like the person is. You're so quick to sit back and go, you know what? I don't like you because you're different. Alright? Yes, this started off as the whole, as I said, the whole reaching out for the autism awareness, but the judgmental people in this world and this society, they just don't care. And they are the most, they sit there and they sit in judgment of everyone. They question everyone. They sit there and they judge me because I'm a sole parent. Okay? You don't know my story. You don't know me. All you've got is what you see. And you think that's okay to judge everyone. You see a child that's like completely curled in on themselves and just, oh, they must be doing something to that child. No. That child there is suffering with even being around people. That child is trying to get used to the fact that there are other people in this world because they're so used to just being in their own. You've got all these kids that think that violence is okay. It's not. It is not okay. It is something that you look at and you go, why would you do that? Recording fights on a phone, for goodness sakes, when we were 14, 15 years old, we were breaking them up. When we were at school and saw people fighting, you grabbed them and you tore them apart because you didn't have a reason to fight. There was no reason in the world. Was there any reason to fight each other? And now it's, I'm going to fight you because I want to. Like, society itself has gone backwards. You've got people judging every person's move, their way of life, everything. Judging them. Then you've got people who are kids that think it's okay to bully and sit there and record it because, let's face it, like, it's just some kid. No, it's not some kid. It's somebody's son. It's somebody's daughter. It's somebody's brother. It's somebody's sister, cousin, friend, family. Like, but kids these days, you can't entirely blame them because the system itself has brought down these barriers that parents aren't allowed to cross. I mean, gone are the days when the neighbor down the road, if you were playing in the street and you fell over and scun your knee, that they could pick you up and carry you into their house. Okay? They could carry you into their house, patch your knee up, and send you back outside to play. You can't do that these days. Because if you even touch somebody else's kid, to even pick them up off the ground if they fall over, or run into a door, because kids are clumsy, let's face it. They run into your trolley, you lean down to pick them up, all of a sudden you've put yourself in jeopardy of being put on the line for assaulting this child because you have picked them up. And gone are the days when somebody fell over, or you see them struggling with their shopping or their trolley or lifting something, you walk over and you offer to help. You can't do that anymore. The system itself has created the people it has today. And until people can stop judging, and until people can stop being so just unhuman or inhuman in a way, everything's become a point of, you're not happy unless you're beating someone up. You're not happy unless you're in a fight. The way that you get into the in crowd is to make people fear you. No, that's not it. When we went to school, I got bullied. I was bullied because I used to hang around the guys. So I was called names. I was told I was a lesbian. I was called a dyke. I was called all these things. I was isolated from people because even though I had my group of friends that I went and played basketball with, I was sports orientated. I liked the cars. I worked on cars. I did automotive class. But because I did things that the girls didn't agree with, I was isolated and treated in a way that I was judged because of what my interests were, but I wasn't judged for who I was. And these kids suffering from learning difficulties or depression, autism, any form of hindrance to their day-to-day life, everyone judges them. And the world is judgmental. The world has become so sexualized, it is not funny. You have 12 and 13-year-old girls wearing attire that should be for an adult in the bedroom impressing a lover. Now, you can't possibly tell me that you think it's okay to judge everyone else, to judge the people that you live with on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't matter whether a person is the purple people eater, black, white, ethnicity of, say, Vietnamese, Chinese. Like, if you were in danger and you needed someone to help, are you really going to care that the lady with the burqa comes up to your defense? Are you going to care that the man in the robe is going to come up and help you off the ground? Are you going to care that the guy sitting in his wheelchair that's missing a leg because he was in a car crash is going to come up to your defense to let you know that that person is there? Are you going to really care that the 14-year-old guy who is so just scared of everything, that runs up to make sure that you're okay, that puts himself in the way of danger, because one day you will get to that point where you will have that part of you is going to be threatened, is going to be, your safety is going to be in another person's hands. Are you really going to judge the person that comes up to help you? Are you really going to judge that person in a way that, no, I don't want you to help me, but he can? You're not going to care in the slightest. And autistic children are beautiful. They are just beautiful. You want to know why? Because they don't judge people. They don't care. They see a person as a person, and a fish as a fish, and a dog as a dog, and a cat as a cat. It is not, oh, you're different, I don't like you. It's a genuine, oh, I want to talk to you. I want to find out why you're in a wheelchair. I want to find out why you wear the burqas. I want to find out why you dress differently. I want to find out why you got tattoos on your face. For the most supposedly people who sit there and go, I would never do this, I'd never raise my kids like this, blah, 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 blah. The society is so judgmental. But yet, at the end of the day, as a parent with a child that has that autism, I have the most beautiful gift in the world. You know why? Because he genuinely will come up and give me a cuddle, and he goes, I love you, Mummy. And I know for a fact that he doesn't care what I look like, how I dress, what I cook for dinner, what we have in our home, what anything of the sort. He doesn't care. But I know him as someone whom I'm raising to understand that you can't judge people. You judge a person on the way that they treat you, the way that they see you, not just because they look different, or they are different, or they speak different. That's the difference between having a child with autism and a child that just throws a tantrum and acts like a spoiled brat. Because these children that we are nurturing, that we are helping develop and helping grow, we know that they're going to see society in a way that a lot of children their age can't. And that is, it's a beautiful thing, a beautiful life. It's be thankful for the day, be thankful for outside, be thankful for the things that you don't get to have very often. When somebody is to sit in judgment of them, it hurts. It really does. My son, at 4 years old, was told he was stupid by a kid who was a year older than him. He was told he was stupid because he couldn't do something. He was stupid because he couldn't do that. They're the kids that, if you want to sit in judgment of somebody, sit in judgment of those kids. Sit in judgment of their snideness, their sneakiness to get around their parents to say things like that. Sit in judgment of the kids who genuinely mistreat someone because they just don't care. And my son, have you ever tried explaining to a 4-year-old who's just started learning to talk what the word stupid means? Like, that is heartbreaking, that people are so judgmental. Even children these days are judgmental. That's where we need to start looking for why that judgment is cast, why we can't pull the reins up on kids that do that. Society is so unfair, and it always has been, but not to the degree that it is now. And I think some people need to realize that it's the way the kids are being, I'm sorry, I was starting to, the kids in general, okay, are only relaying what they hear. So if you tell your kids to F off, or tell your kids to do this, or tell your kids to do, tell them and call them names, you're no better than the bullies that used to be at school. Because even though you're not doing it in the manner of standing over the top of them and forcing them to listen, it's done in a way that they think it's socially acceptable. So then you have all these people judging everyone, calling everyone names, labeling them, and then all of a sudden you're wondering why parents are getting to the point where they are so frustrated they just want to pull their kids out of school and homeschool them. They want to private tutor them. They don't want them around the children they're around. That's a sad, sad thing to think of. A really sad thing to think of. And I think to myself, when I was raised, if I had have even spoken illy in my household to either of my parents, I would have woken up on the floor after being knocked out. Obviously not, but not, I won't put it as that big of an exaggeration, but I would have had my backside handed to me in a way that I would have gone, whoa, that's kind of not what I should do, because that's going to be the consequence. And it's pretty scary, very scary to say that that was only 15 years ago. And I think people need to take a look at themselves before they sit in judgment of everybody else. There's that old saying that people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones because they'll come back and shatter the windows. People see each other, when people start seeing each other for who they are rather than what they seem like, that will be the day that I think I will just break down and cry, because I am so tired of having people judge everyone, having people sit there and automatically assume that a person is bad because they're guilty by association. A person is not worth it because, let's face it, they don't have what I have. You don't know where a person's come from and you don't know their story. And it's about time that people stop being so freaking judgmental. Honestly, they need to stop being judgmental. And I think I'm going to get a heap of comments if you're still watching and you've kind of made it to the end of my rant. there is probably going to be a lot of comments. There's going to be some that disagree. There's going to be some that agree. But I think it's time people started realizing that instead of just pushing aside something or dismissing it as if it's not there, or just accepting it because that's what we were taught, we need to start being defiant in the way of making someone, even if it's only 2 or 3 people, whether they be teenagers, whether they be in their 40s, that not everybody is as bad as what they think they are. Yes, you've got to be suspicious of certain people for the choices they make. But you can't sit in judgment and say, that's what's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. Because the moment that you say that enough, that's when people throw their hands up in the air and go, well, stuff it. I might as well do it. They're telling me that's what I'm doing, so I might as well just go and do it because they already think I am. So, I don't know. I needed to get that off my chest. I needed to get that rant off my chest. And I'm going to go have a break. Because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being the person that, I'm not saying it's bad to judge a person, but there's a difference between platonic judgment and categorical judgment. There's a big difference. And until people start realizing this, you're gonna be pretty much in a society where kids aren't gonna know how to survive in the slightest. They're not going to know how to cook. They're not going to know how to clean. They're not going to know how to take care of themselves, because the people I judge are the ones that sit there and go, here's your mobile phone, go away. Here's your Xbox, go away. Here's your iPad, go away. They're the people I question. But at the same time, I don't know their story. So I can't sit in judgment of them. I can express an opinion about my disagreement for the way that they use the, I guess you could say, the bonding time, but I don't know their story. And I think it's about time that people stop judging because they don't know what the story is behind a person. When was the last time that somebody ran into somebody in the middle of the street and genuinely asked how they were going? If they sat there and said, oh, not good, and you can sit there and go, well, tell me about it. If they go, oh, no, it's okay, are you really going to know the right questions to ask that person? Of going, no, tell me, is it something to do with Carol, or is it something to do with Bobby, or is it something to do with thing? But I do have to go. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you for listening to my rant.